you know you don't put the president on the flank. He has to be in the middle. And we only have one president here, so we have to give you the honor that is due. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the panel that is going to be discussing the view of the consumer of today and of tomorrow. And these are very big constituents of consumers. Just to start you off, and I will allow them to introduce themselves, is to just give you a background on our motorization structure. So Kenya has about 3 million vehicles registered, and about 2.3 million boda bodas and tuk-tuks. So you can see it's a fine split between the four-wheelers and above and the two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And another amazing fact is that the president will tell us the fleet size they have in the PSV. And but just to give you context, they consume 60% of our diesel. So I think they are the single largest constituent of consumers of diesel. So these are very important constituents. And here we are giving you a stage. We are not only joined by the audience here, but we do have, we are streaming this to several groups, and many people are following from their offices and from different places. So gentlemen, I'll start with you, Mr. President. Kindly introduce yourself, tell us what MOA is all about, and any other thing you may like to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bwana Njoku. My name is Albert Karagacha. I'm the president of Matatu Owners Association. I represent Matatu Owners Association, the whole country. Matatu Owners Association has been there for 22 years. We control around 200 vehicles on our roads, 200,000, sorry. The employment side is about 700,000 per year. And we command up to 70% of the population in terms of our passengers we normally carry.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. It's quite a packed introduction, but we're going to unpack it. Vincent Were, a man with very, very many hats. Which hat do you want us to know today?
Well, thank you very much, Bwana Njogu. This morning, I would be wearing two hats because the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers, they are viewed as motorcycles. And so we are talking of a community that contributes up to 660 billion annually. And
660 billion annually.
Exchanging hands in the hands of boda bodas and tuk-tuks.
That's the turnover?
That's the turnover.
Oh, my goodness.
And we are contributing like 4.4% injection into our GDP. So this is a very wide and huge community of transporters, and that's the community that I'm here to represent today. Thank you very much.
Maybe even before I let you, I come back to the president. Can you describe for us, because you know many people have different, what you might call different view. You know, we know our relationship with boda bodas. So tell us, who is the boda boda rider? How should we view him? What are their attitudes? What kind of a consumer is he, or are they?
First, I would want to say, from a petroleum perspective, boda boda is a customer to your association. And so, viewing them as part of the value chain, the petroleum value chain, we would want to look at them as a market that is evolving. When boda boda industry began in Kenya, it was quite messy. It was at the point when there was no regulation in the sector. And so you remember those days when boda bodas could burn down private vehicles just because they've been scratched And so there was a lot of animosity in the sector, and they didn't have a structured way of relating to other road users, relating to the public, relating to government, relating to corporates. And so it's taken us time to begin to sensitize them and have them in structured groups and bring them to a level where they are well profiled to even attract financing and also attract meaningful partnerships. So the boda boda that was 10 years ago is not the boda boda that we have right now. The tuk-tuk that was 10 years ago is not the tuk-tuk that we have right now. There has been a lot of education and evolving in the sector.
And I must say congratulations, because I think I've been scratched, bumped, hit. As late as I think this year, the car I'm using right now does not have a fog light, because of, but I don't want to get into that. But I hear what you're saying. So in a scale of 1 to 10, you've said that this consumer has improved in learning on how to deal with other road users and all that. So in a scale of 1 to 10, and saying 10 is where we want them to be, and 1 is the least, where can you say the boda boda of today consumer is?
Well, in terms of consumption, I don't know where I would rate them, because in terms of fuel consumption, then I think I would rate them at 9, because we are daily consumers of petrol, and we are very heavy consumers of lubricants, because an ordinary car will do 5,000 kilometers on 5 liters of lubricants, for example. And so a boda boda will do 2 weeks and they have to change the lubricant. They do 2 weeks, they change. So when you rate that against that turnover in the numbers that we are doing in terms of consumption of lubricants, we've come to realize, we've done enough research even with your membership, petroleum companies, and realize we are the heaviest consumer of lubricants. And so, but in terms of behavior, in terms of market practices, I wouldn't want to rate them at 9. I'd be unfair to other sectors. I would rate them at 6, but we are growing in mannerisms.
Thank you so much. You're very diplomatic. Mr. President, I'll pose the same question to you. Describe to us the matatu consumer in terms of this persona, and how Kenyans view them, and if there are any misconceptions that probably exist, and how we can break them.
Okay, we can say that matatu has been there for more than 60 years. I remember since independent. And we remember that when the matatu came in, we used to have buses. And there are people who went to the former president, Kenyatta, to complain about the matatu. And they were told they have to go back and maybe do the matatu. So what we can say, we've been there for long. And in terms of when we talk about the passengers, we control we talk about 70% of the passengers countrywide. Now, in terms of, we know very well that we have those makanga driver behaviors, which we are working on it as an association to see how we can change. And maybe going forward, we know very well that majority of the matatu are being run through SACCOs. We have discipline. And we are coming up with a way of how to train our drivers. And as we move on, we know very well that without matatu, there is no movement in this country. And we are trying to see how to professionalize the matatu in a good way to have a corporate image moving forward. Maybe we can say matatu, when it comes to the pricing, we are the cheapest compared to tuk-tuk and compared to the three-wheeler, because from town to Westlands, you get matatu, you are paying around 50 shillings, compared to tuk-tuk, whereby you pay around 200 shillings, which is very expensive. So to us, moving forward, we know we normally help to ferry Kenyans, mostly in cities, urban cities. And we want to see how to improve. And we are really in talks with government to see how we are going to make sure that we change the image, put the corporate image, so that anybody coming to this country, he can invest in the matatu. And we are urging investors all over the country, all over the world. There's a need they can come and invest, because through the circles, if you go to a place like Dakar, they have those corporate, and we have some foreigners who've gone there and they've invested. So we are urging, maybe moving forward, they can come in and invest in matatu. It's just business like any other business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for describing those two constituents. But I know we've never had, I'm not aware, a day when the fueling industry has sat down with the matatu industry or with the boda boda and tuk-tuks just to understand what your needs are. So if we say that this audience, and even the audience that is following us online, and you are talking to the petroleum industry, what would you like to tell us? What are the issues you would like to raise? How would you want us to treat you as a consumer, and most importantly, as a customer?
Okay, to us, when it comes to the issue of diesel, we consume up to 60 to 65% per day. And if you try to compile, I think the whole country, we are consuming a lot. So we will tell the guys within the fuel companies to see how to work very closely with us, because we are the biggest consumer of diesel, in terms of supporting the training for our drivers, and in terms of supporting the industry to grow. Right now, I know we are partnering with people like Autogas. It's called Autogas. Mm-hmm. And
so you're thinking about Autogas?
Yeah, we are thinking about gas.
Okay, talk to us about that.
We believe that the vehicle we have right now, if we can go the gasway LPG, it's going to be cheaper compared to the diesel we are using as per now. And we are in partnership with some of them from Poland to see how we can work very closely with them. And we are going to have, I think we've signed a document to see how we can work very closely with them. We have 200,000 matatus. We believe we will convert all of them to see how they are going to help the investor in terms of the return at the end of the day.
Interesting. That's a very interesting conversation. I'll jump back to it. But I'll pose the same question to you, Were. You have the audience and the ears of the petroleum industry right now and the fueling industry. What would you like to tell us?
Well, we would like to engage more. We would like to engage more. We would like to advance our relationship from the traditional dispenser and consumer level and take it high above that to a place where we are discussing how do we have structured consumption. We have observed very closely how you operate with matatus, how your membership operate with matatus. We've seen long queues of matatus at petrol stations, and they have fuel cards, and so daily they are consuming by card, and so payments are done either weekly or monthly. Boda bodas and tuk-tuks, honestly, they've never experienced this. We have it in our plan, but it's never been implemented. Again, maybe it's because your membership needs to understand the risk factor in entering such a relationship. But before we began engaging, then we could never we may not have taken the right path before. So now that you have opened up to these sectors to start conversing with your membership and with you, we are looking at a relationship where we should help our people to become more responsible consumers, but again consume in a more structured manner. Besides that, we would appreciate capacity building our consumers. We are having them in structured circles, and so we would appreciate your membership, engaging the circles, and be part of their growth in terms of building their capacities. I know we are doing a lot in terms of building their literacy levels, entrepreneurship training, embracing of ICT for business development, and so many other things, so that we bring them to a level where commercially they can operate on global standards, because we are going global, but our borders are in Nigeria, they are in Uganda, we are going global. Tuk-tuks, I've seen tuk-tuks all over.
And you know, just to stick to your point, there's an important point that you've raised, and you've said that you are calling for more innovation, if I can hear you, in the time, in the matter of consumer improvement, consumer experience innovation, where you're saying you're such a big constituent, but you haven't had innovation pushed to you on how you consume fuel. And I think that's an important discussion, because we have so many pump companies here who supply this technology. We have integrators, we have payment service providers, and even we have KRA. And the reason I'm saying that is because KRA is implementing a policy direction from the National Treasury that says that every sale has to generate a receipt. And one of the conversations we've been having with them, we've been saying, look, a boda comes in and says, I want 100 shillings, or I want even 50 shillings. And if you're going to fuel 50 shillings or 100 shillings, it won't take you more than maybe 5 seconds. And by the time you take back the nozzle, the guy is gone. So at what point are you going to give him a receipt? You know, so we were having those discussions on, this is a completely different consumer, and even their consumer behavior is that they are in the station and then they go. I remember there was a time that some stations were not allowing bodas in. And I know you know that because it's an issue that you raised. And the thing was just that consumer behavior, but you're saying, no, innovate for us. Give us solutions because we are a big constituent. So I think that's a critical point to pick in terms of how the industry, and I hope that the industry is actually listening. How do they pick that and begin to innovate to solve your solution or to solve the needs that are coming up? But even before you jump on that, I want to hear from Albert. What kind of innovations do you think the industry can push to your consumer to improve the consumer experience?
Okay, the innovation we are thinking about as the association is about cashless, whereby if we put cashless in...
Sorry, you want to go cashless?
Yeah, cashless. Some of us, we've gone cashless, and we believe through cashless, we are able to remove the corruption on our roads, and it's going to be easier even to support the KRA in terms of some of our drivers paying taxes, because we know some of them it becomes easier because we don't have a system to help in terms of the drivers paying the cashless, the taxes. Maybe another innovation is about, we don't need to be going to the government when it comes to the issue of renewing of the license, which we are working very closely with the NTSA to see how they can make everything to be online. So that at the end of the day, maybe I'm a driver, I want to renew my license, it will be easier to go online, and I'll be able to get the license. And maybe when it comes to the issue of fueling, we believe that we've seen some companies, international companies from Dubai, they have a system whereby you can be able to see. We'll be partnering with them.
Can we get some water for
We'll be partnering
panelists,
with them
please?
To see how we can work very closely with them so that we can be able to improve when it comes to the issue of, as we do, because we normally call it squad. So we can change it, and we'll be able to see automatically how many trips, how many kilometers the vehicle has done without counting what we normally call squad.
Now, I want to take you back to something you've said. Going cashless, Is my mic okay? Going cashless is something that was tried. I remember even, I think 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, we were having, sorry about that. About 10 years ago, we were having companies, even banks, trying to push going cashless. And I remember getting some different cards, you know, and it never worked. I don't know why. But you were still in the industry. Why do you think it failed?
Okay, it fails because, first of all, we will say that the bank came in, they did not have a good structure. And we were looking for a way how we can have the card reading the same, interoperable, in a way that you are able to use one. Let's say you can use the same different cards, but you can use one machine, which they could not work together. The banks, I think we had a problem with the banks. Maybe something else was about corruption on our roads, whereby the police, they managed to sabotage it completely because they felt that they are going to lose what they are getting from the matatu. But going forward, we've come up with a way. Right now we are working with Safaricom. There is something we are working with Safaricom, and if you go to some of our matatus, I think almost 60%, I think they are using the cashless as we move on. We are coming up with something with the KCB. We've worked something with it, and we believe that from August, we are going to roll it out, and our people are going to embrace, because we've been losing a lot of money, and if we can be able to get that money, it will help us maybe to do paying the loans and improving on our business.
I can see that cash is a big, actually you're very liquid in terms of how you rotate cash. The borders and also the matatus. Of course they have embraced many matatus nowadays. You get in, you see an M-Pesa number sent to this, others have tills, others have pay bills. So it tells me that people want that innovation. I think even borders is that when you stop the trip, you send the person the number. I think it has become more natural. So I can see you calling for innovation on how payments are done. What about maybe loyalty value? Because I know I've had different conversations with both of you on how you think about loyalty programs that can benefit your constituent. How do you think about that? And I can start with Were over there.
Well, we would want to feel part of the family. And so we've had a lot of engagement of our masses, because these are very huge numbers that we are talking of. We are talking of over 2.3 million consumers of fuel daily. And structuring them into circles, we want an engagement where there's a royalty program. Like if you consume this much, then you're able to get a rebate. You consume this much, you're able to get a discount on this and this. We even had a conversation where we attach the consumption of petrol or lubricants to an item or a product like insurance or something else. So when the tuk-tuk driver comes to the fuel station, there's an engagement in the background. I'm purchasing this, but to cover my family, I'm getting some insurance. I'm purchasing this, and to help me operate digitally, I'm saving towards acquiring a smartphone, which will then help me to get paid cashless. So we would want to look at such conversations. So again, as I said, we come out of the cocoon of traditional payment systems, traditional consumer behavior, and traditional everything.
Interesting. What about you, Mr. President? I know we've talked at length about how your vision is on how loyalty can work. And I want to throw a spanner in the work. Usually, the drivers of the vehicles are not the owners. And also we have a SACCO structure. So we have a tired kind of system in the ownership of that asset. When we are thinking about loyalty programs, let's say to your constituent, whom should we reward? So as you talk about how you think about the loyalty program, also talk about that aspect.
Okay, when it comes to the loyalty program, we need to reward both the driver, the SACCO, and the owner. And
so everybody needs to be rewarded.
Yeah, everybody needs to be rewarded. And we believe through that, because everybody contributes, the driver, they contribute, the owner. And if we go that direction, everybody will benefit. And we have one which we are working out with the Total. And we have a card whereby you use the card at the end of the month, you'll get that token. And we normally push that token to both the driver, the conductor, and the owner. So
when you say a token, you get cash back?
Yeah, we get cash back.
Okay, and then it is split?
Yeah, and then it is split.
Okay.
Yes. So to us, it's a good program. And maybe in future, we are thinking of how to add in our customer. Because if you ask me, if you go to a place like Madare, we have those vulnerable students who are supposed to go to school from 5 years up to 15 years. We are working on a program to see how we are going to give them free transport, because it's done in other countries.
Free transport?
Yeah, free transport.
Oh, that's a good place to clap. That's a good place to clap. They want to give free transport to children and to the vulnerable.
Yeah, even the 70 years and above, we want to see how to work out, to see how to help them. Because in other countries it's happening. So we are in talks with some of the counties to see how we can partner so that we are able to help the vulnerables. Because when they go to school, the government said there is a free education. So we need to do everything for them so that at the end of the day, some of them will be the leaders of this country. And we may get some of them being, let's say, leaders all over the world. So we need to see how to help those vulnerables in terms of rewarding them.
So I hope, audience, you're following. There's a call for a lot of innovation in how value can be unlocked, especially in the relationship between the consumer and the fueling sector. And I know this conversation goes around and around and around. The question that usually when we sit in boardrooms we are asked, they say, okay, but we don't understand this SACCO structure. The tuk-tuks, the boda-bodas, they have what they call a SACCO. You have a SACCO. If you go to the description of what a SACCO is, it's a savings and credit cooperative. But I'm not sure that is what you are running. So how can you help us properly understand the kind of SACCO structures you have, and why in the world do you still call them a SACCO?
Okay, you see, we've been there for 60 years. And you get that we did not have any structure until the fourth president, who is the Uhuru Kenyatta, when he came to in place, we requested him that, can we be able to form the SACCOs? And he agreed. And we formed the SACCOs all over the country. We are talking of 480 SACCOs, which are within the Matatu sector. Now, it's easier to put discipline within the SACCOs than dealing with the individuals. So through the SACCOs, we'll give an example like Super Metro. It's a very big SACCO. It's a fleet of 700 vehicles. It's easier to control the drivers and conductors. We have people like 2NK SACCOs. We are talking about 2,000 vehicles on the road. It's easier to have that strong management so that at the end of the day, they are able to control their behaviors of the drivers, behaviors of the conductors. And I will give an example. If you go to Nyahururu, we have a SACCO called Pointy, whereby when it comes to the discipline, the driver will tell you, I'd rather be disciplined with the SACCO management than the police, because You know, when we go to our police system, there is a problem. So we have some of the SACCOs which are very strong, and we believe that if we ride into them, it's easier corporates, fuel companies to sit down with us, and they can recoup as more benefit as possible.
Great. And for you, Vincent, what's your kind of SACCO structure that you run under?
First we had the savings and credit cooperative, and then we were guided by the policymaker to transit our groupings to transport cooperatives. But so many of them are still under the savings and credit environment. But in their understanding, a SACCO is a SACCO. So it's upon the regulators and the policymaker to now disseminate information, sensitize them on how to operate the principles that guide the two types of SACCOs. But one thing I would want to admit is that tuk-tuk and boda-boda started behaving like industry players after the evolution of SACCOs. Before then, we were just rowdy groups operating anywhere, anyhow. And so we would do anything and get away with it. But when we started getting to be accountable to some formal structure where government could access, where corporates could access, then we started behaving. So we appreciate the SACCO structure. We are growing the masses through SACCOs. I can't even tell now how many SACCOs we have, because
at least the president has the number for his.
Yes, we have quite a huge number. We are doing a census now to assess the database and see how many boda-boda SACCOs do we have across the country, how many tuk-tuk SACCOs do we have in this population of 2.3 million in above.
And to be fair, you are 10 times larger than he is in terms of the fleet size. He's
Yes.
at 200,000, you are 2.3 million.
Yes.
So then that might present a challenge on the difficulty of understanding this. But before I bring this to a close and really open it up for the audience. So we've seen the onset of electric mobility, and I think both of your sectors are adopting it a bit differently. I'd like to hear from you the feedback of electric mobility from your consumers or from your members on how they are thinking about it, and how should we as an industry prepare to serve you even as we go into the future. And I'll start with Vincent and then I come to the president.
Well, that's a very sensitive conversation, because it's taken us round and round and round tables to get, first of all, to even understand what is electric mobility, especially for our sector, the two sectors. Matatus are big players. They may have understood very, very fast. But for us, we had to start dealing with the mindset. You can imagine the mindset of a tuk-tuk driver and a tuk-tuk owner. And you're telling this fella, there's a transition. And this transition is a global practice. We are going E. It's taken time, but I can authoritatively say it's penetrating. And so we have so many companies now doing electric motorcycles, which we use as boda-bodas commercially. And we have quite a number of companies that have also brought in electric three-wheelers. We have sensitization programs with the users to train the SACCOs, to train the drivers, and also train the owners on the benefits of running an electric vehicle, electric tuk-tuk, electric boda-boda. They have to understand the concept of not having carbon emissions into our environment. They also have to understand that it reduces on the operating expenditure, which we have tested with quite a number of companies and done daily checks, and we've seen quite a heavy saving. So going E in mobility is the way to go, and that's where we are headed to. We are now, besides having the pure electric running on lithium-ion batteries, we are also embracing LPG. Like right now, for tuk-tuks, we see a lot of activity in conversions and retrofitting, and so we are beginning to work with LPG-driven tuk-tuks. I saw a gentleman during Corona period, sorry to take you back, I saw a gentleman with a gas cylinder on his boda.
I also saw him.
I thought it was not safe, but for me, I thought, how can we make use of his appetite to want to have a gas-driven boda? And so I thought that we would use such a gentleman to even sensitize the fellas that work around him, of course in partnership with the companies that are coming with LPG. That time we didn't have LPG for three-wheelers. But out of that appetite and the desire to change, we now have gas-driven three-wheelers. And so I believe very soon, I don't know how soon, we may have gas-driven bodas. But we are changing and we are adopting.
I can see Janusz is in the crowd and is very excited about it. He will tell us maybe when we get to the questions whether there is a possibility of a boda motorbike. But I hear what you're saying. To you, Mr. President.
Okay, when it comes to the issue of the EV, I think it's easier to maintain. And right now we have 50 vehicles within the country, within the matatu sector, which are EVs. And we are doing the leasing model. And when it comes to the return is good compared to the diesel. I know very well to the 200 we are talking about, all of them are diesel. I think we are in talk with one of the company to see how we can convert them to the LPG. Maybe before the end of the year, we'll have done more than 40% going forward. And we believe within the matatu sector, with what we have, we are able to go LPG as fast as possible compared to EV. But we know going forward, EV is the future. Last year we were in China and we saw within the PSV sector, within the China, that is Beijing, they are using mostly the EV and they are doing partly LPG. So within the industry, we know it's going to be easier, and when it comes to environment, it will be friendly. And we believe that we are talking to all our members to go that direction.
Wow, you can hear the message from the largest constituents of consumers on how they are thinking about electric mobility and using alternatives. And sorry to bring this to you, maybe if you're comfortable with it, you can mention it. Both of you have sat with the president of this country, and you know the government's agenda, in also cutting emissions in the transport sector. Because you are the experts in the field, what have you told him? And do you think that that is the best direction for us to move? So if you're comfortable to talk about it, you can probably say, yes, this is what we have told him, this is what we've discussed, and this is how you would like to support the government in its initiative.
Okay, when it comes to the issue of the future of the PSV, we've discussed with the president on the issue of the safety, and we agreed that after every 3 months we will be having a meeting, which we are still waiting to have another meeting. But when it comes to the future, we believe that we can create more employment, within the industry. That is the PSB. And when we talk about 700,000, maybe in the next 15 years to come, we believe we are going to do up to almost 2 million employment per year, which is going to help the youth, the upcoming youth, because we know that within the industry, we have more youth running the industry. Because if you go to the Manyangas we have, like yesterday you saw one of them, whereby the youth are the ones driving the vehicles. So the creation, because the government is pushing about creation of employment, and we believe they need to support the industry going forward. When it comes to the issue of climate change, we need to play a very big role, because the emission on our roads, we talk about we can reduce it to up to almost 35%, maybe in the next 5 years to come.
Thank you so much. Were?
Well, the conversation around sitting with the president to address tuk-tuk and border issues is a very interesting one. You know, in the formation of this present government, border was quite a factor of transition to power. So, because political systems are looking at numbers. But after you get into power, how do you handle the numbers? So one thing the current president and the administration has appreciated is that we are able to have this growing population of youths engaged into border, not just as a sector, but as an enterprise. And so the last conversation we've had with His Excellency was during the finance bill. And that time we were looking at what's your wish as informal transport operators, and what's your position in this finance bill. And I remember I was given only 5 minutes to do my presentation. I was seated with a gentleman from the Matatu sector, it's called Mukabana, I think so. And so I, on behalf of our constituency, requested for a drop in the excise duty, because if for electric mobility to thrive in our two sectors, if we have the excise duty a little bit reduced and then have VAT scrapped off the CKDs that come, then we'll be able to have the Motorcycle Assemblers Association of Kenya assemble for us these products and give to us at a rate which is affordable, and allow many youths to be players in this market and grow the GDP, actually. But when it comes to non-electric driven products, of course we try to touch on the cost of fuel, but I say that's a sensitive area and that's not our domain. But we really have pushed for a reduction on the taxes, on the CKDs, because these products are imported into the country in parts. But one thing that I would not want to miss out, I remember presenting a proposal because we had the Manufacturing Association of Kenya there, and we had the Kenya Bankers Association in the same tiny forum. And I said, Your Excellency, if you could speak to the Manufacturing Association of Kenya to be able to do more of production of the parts that we import from China and from India. That means that we would not be injecting so much into foreign economies, and you know the dollar exchange and all these factors that affect us. When you break down a tuk-tuk and break down a border in parts, most of those parts can be fabricated locally. And I remember at that point, the president stopped me and ask the manufacturing association, what are you doing? Must a boda boda come to educate us that we can save the amount of money we inject into foreign economies? And I said, Your Excellency, I've seen you launch and commission so many industrial parks. And these industrial parks, kept busy by local fabrication and production, would have so many jobs created. And that's a factor that was well appreciated. We had the PS for Treasury there. I saw him take notes, and I was assured after the meeting by His Excellency that we have taken note of your contribution. And indeed, I saw it in the Kenya Private Sector Alliance paper that was released after the visit to His Excellency. So I'm very proud that as a sector, we have also contributed to the policy-making process.
Thank you so much. Can you give it up for them? I want to open up now to maybe 2-3 questions before we cue the next presentation. And I'll ask my MC to make sure that the ushers are close by with the hampers. But before I do that, between ICE, internal combustion engines, and EVs, which one is better?
To us, EVs are better, because when it comes to the issue of mechanical, technical, it's cheaper to maintain.
Okay, I'll hold you there. The same question to you. Which one is better?
My answering will be a bit different. For matatu sector, EV is better. For tuk-tuk and boda-boda, EV would be better if we improved on a few factors, like range, which has been an issue. The companies that have started up e-mobility have promised us that you'll have this motorcycle and it will take you 100 kilometers. But we do 70 and the battery is low. They have promised us 150 kilometers, we do 90 and we are down. So if the battery swapping technology, EV charging portals are available, all factors remaining constant in terms of evolution, EV would be better for us.
Oh, there you have it. Can you give it up for my panelists as I take a few questions?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My question goes to the Matatu people who are here, and also maybe the other people who've come to support this expo. To the Matatu industry, have you thought of asking the government, why do our fuels, when they reach Mombasa, change? For example, the diesel engines that we use, the fuel from an imported car in Mombasa, the emissions are very clear. Actually the fuel burns clean. But once we put our local fuel, why do the emissions, the car will smoke more than the fuel in maybe Japan or Dubai? Have you thought of engaging the government? Why is our fuel contaminated, or where is the problem? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we take another before we answer? Can we take, there is a gentleman there and then another one behind there.
Oh, thank you. To both panelists, what do you think could be added or could be bettered on either the matatu or boda boda side? Thank you.
All right, then we have that question in the back.
Okay, so I've got two questions. One for Mr. Karagacha concerning the matatu operators or the matatu system in general. There are situations where you find that there are matatus from certain routes that you find they are not well kept. Like you find that some of them are not presentable or they are not roadworthy in general. I'd like to know what the association is doing, because you can find that some routes have labels for having such kinds of cars and others have better looking cars. What is the association doing about that? The second question is for both. As the industry goes corporate, I understand that in the Western world there is a ticketing system whereby you can have a subscription for a month and you have certain number of trips that you can exhaust within that month, then you get to pay. Do we have such a system in place, or is it in the way, or is it being developing, and what are you doing about it? Is it possible in general?
Thank you so much. So before we take that question, I'll allow them to answer them. There is one here about the quality of the diesel. There's another one there which is maybe what could be better. And then the two questions from that gentleman. I also wonder, some of the matatus we enter, we go looking down and you can see the road. So you tell us.
Okay. So when it comes to the issue of the fuel, 3 years ago I think we talked with the government. And we know right now we have a Euro 4 in this country. A majority of the matatu we are using are Euro 4. And I think they've done something on the issue of the fuel. We have good fuel right now. So maybe it's just lack of communication, which I think through the association we'll pick up that communication to sensitize our members countrywide. But we know there is something the government has done, and we have cleaner fuel right now. Maybe if we have somebody in Juakali who is promoting the one which is not correct, I think we'll use the association to see how we can help. Now, coming to the issue of the cashless, I think we are working very closely with KCB. From this year, August, we will start rolling over the cashless issue. And we will want to promote our youth, because we know majority of youth are in innovation. We will see how to work very closely with them. Now, the issue of unroadworthy vehicles, we have a fund through KCB, and we have a circle we call Uchukuzi Circle. So we are urging members to join Uchukuzi Circle. We are urging members to join open accounts with KCB. If you come to the association office, we'll be able to sign for you something through the circle, so that we can make sure that your vehicle is not unroadworthy. We are working with some of the bodybuilders like Masters and Band Bros. We had a meeting last week to see how we can try to help the membership all over the country. We know the economy is not doing very well, but we will urge our membership that you can use your logbook as a security to acquire some of the finances. And through the association, we can be able to help you to get that finances.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Come on, clap for the president. I can see our next presentation is in queue, but we will take that question from that gentleman. And then I hope my ushers are in good place so that we can do our photo exit. But please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is George. This question is directed to both of you. We are talking of big things like transitioning to EV or transitioning to using gas, for instance. But looking at the basics, I've seen you're the umbrella body that regulates matatus and tuk-tuks. How far would you say you've gone in terms of streamlining the basics? For instance, things like discipline, because I think these are some of the things that contribute to adoption. For instance, there's a time we tried introducing digital payment or cashless, but you realize that most of it was actually related to the discipline of actually the staff, because you find that they prefer cash because they're able to generate from that. So my question is, how is your influence in terms of streamlining the basics, like discipline, ensuring that people have uniforms, before you even start dealing with, for instance, LPG, which, in terms of safety, or basics like ensuring that, what you are talking about, having proper matatus, having disciplines. Like you remember recently we had issue with the Super Metro, which I think to me has really improved standards in that sector. But I was surprised to actually hear that you still have issues you remember what happened, and they were banned for some time, which really affected a lot of, their users. Personally, I'm a user, was really affected. So how do you ensure you actually deal with the basics before you even transition now to the more complex aspects in the sector?
So thank you. So this is how we'll answer this. You will give the answer and give your parting shot or your last word, and you'll do the same. Thank you so much.
Okay, when it comes to the issue of matatu, on the discipline side, as an association last year, we had a road safety campaign all over the country, trying to educate our drivers and conductors, and even the passengers. Going forward, we normally have the issue of funding. Even if you go to the government, we talk about funding. We are looking for funding to see how we can come up with a training school, because if you go to the matatu sector, we do not have a training school to train the drivers and conductors. And we are urging some of the sponsors, maybe through your association, how they can come in to support development partners, international. If they can come in, we partner, because we know we are going to consume their products. It's easier for us to train these drivers, to train the conductors, to have good manners on our roads. And we know we've improved. If you go to people like Super Metro, they've really improved. They are controlling around 700 vehicles. They've improved. If you go to 2NK, we can name up to maybe 300 circles countrywide. We know there is a lot of improvement, because we've been talking to our membership all over the country to make sure that the issue of road safety first. And we even urge our passengers, before you board a vehicle, make sure we have what we call safety belt. Make sure the vehicle is okay. Make sure the driver is okay on the steering, so that moving forward, all of us, because we normally say collective responsibility. The passenger, the driver, the owner, the circle members, they must take responsibility to make sure that everything is moving the right direction. My shorting parts, I will urge the sponsors who've come to this meeting. We know we are consuming your product. We've seen a guy here from Dubai. I think before we leave here, we are going to talk to you to see how we can work very closely with you in terms of the issue of, I know you have the system on the fueling, to see how we can collaborate and see how we can work as a team. We have the guys on LPG. There is something we are working with them. And we welcome you guys next time, so that we can work as partners to see how we can improve our transport in this country. We know Kenya is ahead compared to other East African community. So if we work very closely, it's easier to open the market to Tanzania, Uganda, using the Kenya market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Very well said. Were?
Well, before my parting shot, I would want to break my conversation into 2 bits, which are very, very short. First is to assure you that we've taken elaborate steps to help the communities that we ferry be safe in the tuk-tuks and the borders. As you all know, these are very risky transport environments. And I was very sure as I came to sit on this panel that you'll ask that question on safety. We are working very close with the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, to educate our transport masses on the need to regulate and also train, get licensed, and be responsible riders on our roads, because they are carrying lives. As we speak now, there is a national helmet wearing coalition going on, and we are represented there. It's a process that was started with the former administration together with Transaid UK, and the agenda was to have all borders in the country wear helmets, and not just helmets, but standard quality helmets. And so very soon we'll be having the first ever helmet testing lab in Eastern Central Africa in Kenya. And
I think that deserves a clap.
Yes.
That is also
I'm not sure you got me clearly, but it's been a journey with FIA Foundation and Transit UK in the previous administration and even the current administration to establish a mechanism of protecting our youths on the roads. So I said very soon we will have the first ever helmet testing lab in East and Central Africa in Kenya.
Thank you.
And so we are glad we have been part of that journey right from onset. And besides that, we conduct regular road safety sensitization programs together with NTSA. You may realize these days when tuk-tuk groups meet, you'll find a policeman in the group, very well dressed in their uniform. You'll, during our campaigns, you'll see us together with the police, and that is a very coordinated effort to have cohesion between the two parties. Initially, we used to be enemies of police. And so we came in to broker a relationship. So now we are very good friends of the police because there's the Traffic Act, which we need to adhere to. And when we go to NTSA, our regulator, we need to work with the law enforcement agencies on the ground. And so this connection between the informal transporter and the government agencies and the passenger, who is our target community, has been, it's kind of a multi-agency effort. It brings in training, it brings in enforcement, it brings in policy. So we are headed somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. Secondly, because of this conversation which is growing healthy, we have been able to attract corporates to now believe in us. And so banks like KCB, as the president has mentioned, would want to now partner with us and dispense products. Equity Bank and all the other banks, let me not market banks here, but finance institutions are now getting to a level where they are comfortable with us because we can be profiled. And so we would want your community of investors in fuel industry to embrace this journey and come in and support these sensitization programs and support the evolution of technology. Be able to grow, that's my appeal now.
Thank you.
Come and grow us.
Yes.
And then sell to us.
Thank you.
But if you sell to a community which is not very well grown and very well manicured, then the return on investment will not be better managed.
That's true.
So we are appealing to you. We can see you have so many investors from within and without. We'll be knocking your doors. We had started knocking, and you must open your doors to us. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us.
Wow, come on, give them
Thank
a
you,
round
sir.
of applause.